As we discussed just a few minutes ago, we are now within a given vegetation type in Chiromo. You know this place quite well when you're reading in the library. Right behind you, there is a forested area where we are doing some kind of rehabilitation, and there are quite a number of trees which can actually be able to allow us to demonstrate the PCQ method. First, when you go to any given habitat, the first thing that you do, you must know your area quite well, and you need to do what we call stratification of your vegetation. What do I mean? Stratification in this case means you must know the types of vegetation types that do exist in your study area. You may have the woodlands, bushlands, you may have the grasslands, you may have wooded grasslands, and so on and so forth. You choose each of those vegetations one after the other. And then once you get there, it is always important to understand how you are going to establish your sampling areas. Your sampling areas can be established by using the existing road network within your habitat that you have initially selected. And out of that, you can be able now to do the actual selection of your starting points of your transects. And this is going to be based on the drainage within that area. Your transects must always be oriented perpendicular to the drainage areas. You may choose your transects systematically, whereby if you are choosing a transect, they are supposed to be maybe a kilometer apart, 500 meters apart, or depending on the homogeneity of your area, you may decide either to expand the inter-transect interval, or you may decide to reduce the inter-transect interval. Assuming you've already done that, then the best you can be able to do is use the GPS, which can be able to make you return back to the same position into the future if you are supposed to be doing or undertaking any monitoring activities, so that you may know what changes are occurring in your vegetation types. And this is the instrument, the GPS. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Now, assume you've already identified your starting point and you have the compass in order for you to estimate the direction that you're going to assume. And we say it again, remember, all transects must be oriented perpendicular to the drainage line. If we are assuming our drainage line is this side, then it means we have our transect oriented towards this direction. You get the bearing, which you need to record, and then you have what we call the ranging pole to identify your initial sampling point, just like you can see me do here. Once you have your first sampling site, the PCQ demands that the baseline is the direction of your transit. And in order to mark it clearly, you pick another ranging pole and you align it with the direction that you are going to assume when you are doing your sampling. Then after that one is done, the reason why it is called a PCQ, point-centered quadrant method, is because if I pick the second pole, I could actually put it perpendicular to the baseline, and I'll have 4 quarters. These 4 quarters, you may decide to sample them clockwise or anti-clockwise. If you are moving clockwise, we are moving this direction. If you are moving anti-clockwise, we are moving this other direction. Assuming you are going to move clockwise, then it means our first quarter will be where I'm standing. Your second quarter will be where I am. The third